Hey, welcome to another live stream on Army Reenlistment. Tonight is a very special live stream. We got some very important guests. But before we get to our guests, let me introduce the team. We have Sergeant AJ Sadler.
Good afternoon.
We have Sergeant First Class Samantha Block.
Hey.
And then we got, of course, Staff Sergeant Shantae Waterbury.
Welcome back, guys.
All right, so here our special guests are the official Army Uniform Policy Team, right? I didn't even know that was a thing until I had email correspondence with them. So I'm learning something new, right? But the reason why we're doing this is because a lot of people have been really going crazy about this clear nail polish, these earrings about to happen, and something about facial hair. I don't know. But before we get into all of that, I just want to introduce our special guest. We have Sergeant Major Brian Sanders, who is the NCOIC of the Uniform Policy Team. And then we also have Master Sergeant Mitchell. She is the one that runs the Uniform Policy Team pretty much. But they are special guests because we are going to talk about the uniform changes in 670-1 that are going to happen. But before we get to that, what I want to do is I want to let Sergeant Major Sanders introduce himself, tell a little bit about yourself and your military career.
Great. Hey, first of all, thanks, Tim, for having us this evening. Thanks to the team. And I thank you all for out there who've taken some time right now to come, check this out and hear what we have to say this evening. So Brian Sanders, I've been in the Army 22 years. I am an AG guy, 42 Alpha. Been in the soft community for about maybe 80% of my career. Doing military. I have a daughter. Well, we have a daughter. We graduated basic last week and she's going through AIT. So we're officially a military family now. I've been here at the Pentagon since September 2019 after I returned from Afghanistan. And I will say it has been a challenge. I didn't know this position existed either until I got into the weeds and I found out like, hey, I'm the guy who's making this stuff happen. So it's been an experience. The Pentagon is a very interesting place. For some of you who want to come do the job, I'll tell you, don't wish that pain on yourself. But no, it's a great place. It's full of great people. We're making a lot of things happen right now. The world is definitely changing. And we're definitely keeping up with the times. So once again, definitely glad to be here tonight.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. Sergeant Mitchell, it's your time to shine. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Master Sergeant Quintana Mitchell. I have been in the military. It'll be 22 years in August. I, too, am AG all the way. Started out as a 75 Bravo back in 99. I got to the position, the Uniform Policy Branch, I would say probably the end of November. This is in my first rodeo in the DMV area. I was at DIA for about 6 years, then went to Turkey. After Turkey, went to Fort Jackson, home of the AG, and then was fortunate enough to come up here. It has been amazing. I, too, was unfamiliar with the Uniform Policy Branch and all that we do, but it is definitely a rewarding position.
All right, thank you. So, Sergeant Mitchell, I'm going to kick it off with you. We're going to give you the first and the hardest question, right? Can you tell us about the Uniform Policy Team and what is the responsibility of the Uniform Policy Team branch?
Okay, so the Uniform Policy Branch is the two of us that you see here. No more, no less. It's myself and Sergeant Major. And we are the proponent for 2 regulations and 1 DAPAM. So regulation and DAPAM 670-1 and AR 840-10, which is the Flags and Guidons regulation. So we are the principal advisors to the DCSG-1 and the Sergeant Major of the Army on all uniform policy issues. We prepare and brief courses of actions for the Sergeant Major of the Army and the Senior Enlisted Council. We consolidate recommended changes and prepare those for also the Senior Enlisted Council. We respond daily to inquiries from soldiers and civilians alike throughout the Army force. And we collaborate and we work closely with TIOH, which is the Institute of Heraldry located on Fort Belvoir, and PEO Soldier, which is Program Executive Office. So Program Executive Office, they are the ones that actually develop the uniform itself, the composition of the uniform. And TIOH, which is the Institute of Heraldry, every single thing from insignias to your patches, nameplates, badges, combat badges, they're responsible for anything that goes on the uniform. So we work closely with those 2 entities. But in a nutshell, that is uniform policy branch.
Okay, it's a lot fancier than people think. So that's actually a lot of responsibility.
It is.
That way more responsibility than I could have in the Army, right?
Tim, are you still here? I think you might have froze.
Tim, are you still here? I think you might have froze.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just me.
Nope.
No, I think he froze.
Okay, so where he left off was, so you guys had just went over your careers. So, what are some questions that you have received that you would like to basically go over now? Maybe clear up some of the information for everybody.
Yeah, so I could definitely take this because this is definitely major, and thanks AJ for bringing this up. So, when we announced the the release of AR 670-1 and the appearance and grooming standards modifications back on 26 January, I don't think we really had an opportunity to really clarify some things. There were a lot of moving pieces going on during that day, and would really want to try to help alleviate some of the confusion that's going on, because this is a big week. Tomorrow, AR 670-1 is officially effective. It's been on the APD website since 26 January, the day we announced, but there had to be a 30-day grace period for the regulation to become effective by policy. So AR 670-1 and AR and DAPAM 670-1 are both effective tomorrow, 24th February. Now, with that being said, during the announcement, we talked about these modifications to appearance and grooming. And I think that really overshadowed everything and really kind of confused everybody and just thought, oh yeah, it's coming out the same day this, the AR 670-1 is effective, and that's not the case. So as we stated during the announcement, as we continue to do these different, vignettes, we talk about the appearance and grooming modifications being authorized in the form of an ALARAC. Okay, so that is to be the official guidance that will come out on 26 February. I'm sorry, 20. I know you'll kill me if I said 26 March right now, right? 26 February is when the ALARAC will become effective. Now, one thing everybody should know, and I'll use this time for education, before the ALARAC becomes official on Friday, the Secretary of the Army has to do a memo directing the Army to make these changes, which will come out on the 25th. So the Secretary of the Army will direct the Army to make these changes on the 25th, and then the ALARAC will be published on the 26th, and then voila, earrings and then everything else is authorized will fall off the sky for everybody who's interested and want to take part of those different authorizations.
So, sorry, Waterbury, there's your answer for that question that you had a little while ago.
Great. I've been getting ready. I've been prepping myself.
Oh man, would you go to Claire's and get your ears pierced?
You know it. I might have did it myself, but.
All right, so I appreciate that. Sorry about my technical difficulties. I think my neighborhood internet got jacked up.
So, Master Sergeant Mitchell, what were some questions that you had heard or you've come across, or issues you think you've seen and they've come across since all this initially got pushed out? And because I know as an NCO and as a career counselor, like I've seen the replies and the things people have brought up. What's some stuff that you've seen and you'd like to kind of clear up right now or comment on?
I mean, pretty much I piggyback off of what Sergeant Major said. It was really when the effective date and when the ALARAC was coming out, I think there was a lot of confusion with those dates. I mean, I was being told or seeing statuses on social media that people were wearing earrings after the 26 January live. So I think that's the biggest thing that we've had to make sure that we let the force know that, hey, you can't wear them right now, but when you can, it will be in the form of the ALARAC and it will definitely be published. And that date is this, so we don't have far to wait.
Right.
All right, so getting back to that, so what are some of the changes, the grooming appearances that are going to go into effect? Like, can you go into specific details for us, either one of y'all?
Yeah, I'll jump on it. So, of course, as we know, you know, the earrings was definitely like one of the biggest ones, of course, along with the long ponytail. And I'll talk about both of those real quick before I hand it over to Master Mitchell. So, of course, you know, earrings. This is. I'll also throw in a question that I get about this, which is kind of interesting that I really didn't think about until recently. But so earrings will be authorized in Army combat uniform, but as we know, it's conditional, right? It won't be, you know, when you're in a field setting, you're on a combat deployment, you won't be able to wear the earrings. You know, you're doing airborne operations. If you're doing any kind of tactical or physical training inside the Army combat uniform, the answer is no to wearing earrings, right? That's where you got to do the risk assessment, safety. You know, some people are like, well, hey man, you know, I work out in earrings. Yeah, I get that. You know, but the whole thing is, I like to tell everybody, you know, let's kind of have baby steps of some of the things we do because we don't want to really like we've made forward progress. Let's not go backwards on some of these things, right? So what was authorized and what will be authorized is the wear of earrings inside the Army combat uniform, pretty much in a garrison setting, not on combat deployments, not in a place where it's austere conditions or it's a lack of sanitary um, sanitary requirements, so to speak. Um, another big one is long ponytails, being able if you wear an Army combat uniform and you're conducting PT, you're doing log carry and Army combat uniform. Hey, you can wear your long ponytail down just the way you would do if you're wearing an Army physical fitness uniform. And also a big thing, when a soldier's out on the range qualifying, it just didn't make sense for a bun to be, on the range and its bun is pushing up the helmet, pushing down into a sight picture. It decreases readiness, right? Because the soldier can't really fully qualify their weapon because they're too busy trying to adjust the helmet because of the bun pushing the helmet up. So, tactical operations, combat operations, any kind of physical training in the Army combat uniform, those provisions will be made. Now, another thing we talked about a little bit after the appearance and grooming by some soldiers that brought up some concerns is like, hey, even though we're authorizing this, let's also make sure that we consider safety things. Like, for instance, if there's a soldier working up under a vehicle with gears turning or whatever, if you have that hair down and it's unsecured and it gets caught up in the gear shaft or whatever, that's a problem. So you want to make sure you're being very cognizant of your surroundings. And even though we shouldn't have to say it, I think it needs to be said. And I really look at, hey, battle buddies, leaders, peers, whatever, make sure that's something that's thought about. Just don't go so free about these things whenever you get an opportunity and just put your hair down, for these certain conditions and not think about, well, should I do it now? Or maybe this is probably not the time to do it. So risk assessment always. And that's something that I want to make sure I keep stressing that as we keep moving forward with these new changes.
Now, I appreciate that, Sergeant Major. Now, a lot of people don't really understand how long this process took. Can you guys break down a little bit of how long the actual process took and the steps that were needed to be able to do this?
So when you say steps, you mean like going back to like how this thing kind of came to be?
Yes.
Okay. So, Master Mitch, I'll take this one only because of the guilty knowledge I got on it. This one, actually, these particular topics came up almost a year ago now. They came up at a time, and I will tell you, because the Army Green Service uniform, we were in the height of COVID. The Army Green Service uniform was a little delayed because of COVID and the impacts it had on production. I mean, COVID, impacted everything, right? And we're still feeling the effects of it, honestly. But I had to put those things on hold. I felt like, man, these are great because, as I was getting educated and enlightened on these things, that's really what this is all about, learning, right? Not just thinking like, why is this important? Learning why these things are important. But the Army, we couldn't touch it at that time because there were a lot of other things we were dealing with at the time, civil unrest, pandemic, new uniform coming out, and we had to make sure we got that out. But then, what do you know? Once we got the interim policy out for Army Green Service uniform, and during this time, ARC 70-1 was still kind of working its way through staffing. The former SecDef Mark Esper came out with a directive for all services to do a review and make the appropriate modifications to appearance and grooming throughout all the branches. And we found an opportunity like, okay, cool. So I have a stockpile of all these things. Now let's present them. So, of course, the last time this had been done was like around 2014-15 when we had the first hair issue. And Sergeant Army Grinston was a division CSM at the time, and he worked that particular set. So this is not a routine thing, right? So there's no SOP on how we do this. So of course I didn't know any better. I just brought it up, trying to staff it, earrings for everybody, all kinds of stuff. Sergeant Army was like, no, not happening. We need to do it this way. And so I presented it, one time, and then it got shot down. And he said, hey, What we need is a bigger, this needs to be on a bigger scale. It can't just be a memo. It needs to be a review panel. It needs to be directed from GOs and CSMs from major commands such as FORCECOM, USASOC, USAREC, TRADOC, Futures Command, just you name it. There was some representation there, even the Army Reserve and National Guard, active Army. So from there, he's like, hey, I want the most diverse panel you can get, but it doesn't need to be too big. If it's too big, then we lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish. And I also make sure you have subject matter experts. So I was like, okay, cool. I took that and was like, all right, well, you know what? This is how we're going to do it. So we got dermatologists, psychologists, equal opportunity advisors, even had a media specialist there, as well as we had some GOs, some nominative E9s, and all the way down to E5. We had a very wide range, and great demographic. It was diversity at its finest, not based on ethnicity and gender, but also for skill sets and special skills in certain schools that soldiers have been to, even religious backgrounds, was also a thing that we didn't consider that, but as we got to know each other, we learned like, oh man, okay, Muslim, oh okay, great, this is cool. We're able to see everything. But then the subject matter experts, being a dermatologist and the psychologist, all from Walter Reed, Office of the Surgeon General, Defense Health Agency, they were able to provide some real good, solid feedback, things that are not necessarily, they're talking about.
Sergeant Major, I think you froze. Sergeant Mitchell, you want to finish that off on?
Yeah. So basically, I think what he was getting at was that basically the panel that sat on the board for the changes for the appearance and grooming, it was very diverse. It didn't just hit on, like he mentioned, one ethnicity, or it wasn't gender specific. We had both genders there, and it was just a very diverse group. And it was conducted, I want to say, the first week in December. So a lot of great feedback. I think the biggest impact or the heavy hitters on there was that we actually had, a dermatologist to speak to the medical aspect of when it comes to hair. And if you're not able to put your hair in a ponytail, and, we addressed issues like alopecia that affects a lot of women in the military, believe it or not. And we had the psychologist there to speak to identity issues, gender identity issues, and why it is important that females should be able to wear, earrings. One of the things, I'm just going back a little bit, one of the questions that I did get a lot was, why can't we wear pearls? We can wear all the other earrings, small studs, as we can wear in our ASUs currently, outside of pearls. So we can't wear the pearls and the ACUs. And the reason being is because we have to have some sort of distinction between the regular Army combat uniform when we dress up. When you think of pearls, you're thinking of elegance and formalities. So that's why we wanted to separate the two. Is this something that could possibly be an okay with later on? Possibly, but right now, pearls are the only earrings that are not authorized in your ACUs as of right now. That was one of the biggest questions I got. And just to go into further about a couple of the other appearance and grooming changes, so we have nail polish back. I remember back in the early 2000s, we were able to wear the natural colors. Oh yeah, that's coming back. So of course we can't do like the extreme colors, the greens, the fire engine reds. But one change that we are able to wear is the American Manicure, which is a softer approach to the French Manicure, whereas French Manicure is the bold white color on the tip of the nail, and then the rest of the nail natural. But with the American Manicure, it's a softer white, and it just presents a more natural appearance. So that's another thing that's coming back. And those that can't put their hair in a full long ponytail or bun, we have what the medium length bun, where you can wear your natural hair out, but of course it has to be centered in the back of your head, so that you're avoiding pushing and pulling and constantly straining your hair. The multiple hairstyles, and an example of that is if a female wants to put a braid in the front to help with the pulling, and then back into a bun or a ponytail. So those are some more of the changes, along with the nail polish. Of course, male soldiers are now authorized to wear the clear nail polish. So that's another thing. So those are some of the changes with appearance and grooming that also took place outside of the ones that Sergeant Major Sanders mentioned.
And Master Mitchell, that was the ability to pull bun back. That was a big issue, wasn't it? Because of the hair loss and stuff like that, where female soldiers were trying to pull their hair back, and they were end up losing hair. So that helps.
Definitely
help that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking from my own experience, I typically like to keep my hair short because of hair loss and thinning and constantly having to put my hair back. So I chose, to cut my hair off because it's just easier. But recently, and as you can see, I'm on a few of the slides, but natural highlights, another one that I didn't mention is the natural highlights. Of course, you can't go from black with blonde streaks, but you can definitely do natural colors. No greens, no blues, no spikes, but something that, of course, a uniform blend of colors. As you can see, mine it's kind of, fading out, but I do have highlights in my hair, and I also have a part. So with the part, that was another question that came up too a lot, was having a part in the head. And you can, and if you can't if your hair doesn't naturally part, you can actually go ahead and get that little buzz cut right there and have a part made. So awesome changes, but ironically, that was already in the regulation. Just a lot of people were unaware of that. So reading is definitely fundamental.
Yeah, then they
reading is fundamental.
So you said you could cut a part in the side. What about the Marbury part? Because I used to have one of those like ninth grade. The part right down the middle. Can I get that?
Bro. Nah. Nah, I'm gonna answer that for you. No.
Ah, man, I thought I was gonna be good. No. So another thing with the male soldiers, right? So AJ cut his hair because he used to have these blonde highlights, like Eminem kind of. He had like that brown with the blonde, but he cut his hair because he couldn't do it no more.
No, it was more of I like the Chumbawamba, the 1990s look, where I had my tips of my hair frosted, and yeah, I realized that I probably need to do something about it.
There you go, showing that age again.
I can see you with that though.
So are we?
I can definitely see you with that.
Is he able to do that again? Can he do that?
No.
No. That is not natural.
I had to try, Master Sergeant Major. I had to try.
Hey, I cannot keep trying, man.
Good try.
So a big thing that we've been talking about is the changes. Now the buns have been really big. Like you guys said, a lot of soldiers been losing their hair. Is that why you had such a diverse panel when you were going over these things? Because some different ethnicities, their hair is not built for that. Like my wife used to be in the military. She has short hair. She used to have to put the green sock and the little bun, pull that joint back, and then when she got out, she was good. Now she got dreads and everything, so she's doing the thing. I can't do that, but my hair don't grow like that.
But that's if she had enough hair to pull around that green sock to cover it.
If she had enough hair,
some of us don't have that. I didn't. I had the little rat tail hanging from my So
that's good though.
But that's good
that's good though, because now you can have a Caharley. So like when growing up, like people that couldn't pull their hair back in a ponytail, we used to call it Caharley. Caharley pull it back. So now the soldiers got it. They good. Caharley.
Could hardly.
Yeah, Caharley. They could hardly pull it back.
Definitely had those.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about a lot of the changes, and we really appreciate all that. So before we jump into the comment questions, I'm gonna give y'all the opportunity to kill the biggest question that y'all are gonna get. Why didn't we get beards? Cool. I'll let y'all both answer that.
Yeah. So Q, you want to start with that one, or you want me to?
I mean, I'm plain and simple. If you can't grow it and it won't look uniform, then it's probably not advised. But I know I'm gonna let you attack that one. That's my only thing.
So if you look a little bit like if you look a little bit like Joe Dirt with just the, the sideburns and then like right here and right here, that's why, I mean, that's a good reason why no to beards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and you know how it is. I mean, when I say this, I don't mean it's for everybody, right? Like there is a need for some, like, if it's religious accommodations or it's a shaving profile, by all means, those type of authorities are there for that to happen, but I mean, let's be real. Most of the most of the things we saw, or some of y'all saw from the Facebook Live on 26 January, a lot of it was because I just want to have a beard. And it's like, I mean, what's really the need for, right?
Right.
I tell them all the time, I tell you my background. If you want it, go to Special Forces. You know what I'm saying? There's a nice place in Afghanistan waiting on you, little summer home for you. Go and get your beard. But no, I mean, but in all honesty, I mean, hey, when we brought these topics up, those topics weren't, a beard was not a topic of conversation when the topics were brought. That's really the real answer for this right now, right? Because I can't just say that the beard conversation is not going to happen. Right. I think it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. These changes right here reflect that the Army is starting to make progressive movement right towards the future. We're showing you that the Army is not staying in the past. We're showing you that we're moving forward. So with that being said, I tell everybody right now, like, hey, the SMA said no. Hey, we all said no at that moment, but we can't say that it's not going to happen later. It's just not going to happen right now because that's not what was brought up. And I think what a lot of people fail to understand, and I say fail to understand, that some just don't know. So I think this is the perfect time to bring this up because I was asked this question. So I'm going to say that question for everybody and give the answer to what I said. The question to me was the beard conversation ever brought up to you in conjunction with these, or were they ever brought up? Did any, whether it be male or female, anybody bring this beard up to you and say, we need to talk about it? And the answer is no. Beards did not come up in this capacity until those 9 modifications came out for appearance and grooming. Then all of a sudden, beard is a topic of conversation. So, hey, we're not doing that right now. The goal right now for the Army, we told y'all we're bringing something out on the 26th of February, and that's what we're doing. We're going to talk about this right now. We're going to tackle that. When we have this conversation about beards, we'll address that at that time. But for now, this is what we're doing. So, and that's something I think needs to be clear. Hey, at the end of the day, you came in with the requirement of not doing it. Just keep serving, stay motivated, and keep doing what you're doing. Just the way everybody else wait on these other changes, I suggest you do the same thing. Just fall back, keep doing what you're doing, and just see what happens. But just give it time. Give it time, and let's see what happens next.
I really appreciate that. And if you ever need somebody to sit on the panel that can grow a luscious beard, I'm here.
Right. That's good to know, because I'm telling you, I'm be recruiting. I'll tell you that right now.
I got it. It fills in. It connects everything. I ain't got no problem for that. But it just turns out some weird red color. I don't know why. I don't understand why it turns red, but it happens.
So I've seen Master Donahue with what he called a beard, and it parts of the hairs connect, but not now.
The whole no. Let's not lie. My whole beard connects. All right, so that's enough of beards, though. We just handled beards for the last time. That's it. Right. We won't talk about it no more until that. But hey, whenever you do need somebody for that, by no problems.
Oh, definitely. I got you. Hey, Q, make sure we remember this dude right here.
And I'm only at Eustis, so I can come up there TDY. No joke. I'll be up there all the time. So
for sure.
Yeah. Hey, so I really appreciate everything you guys going on. You guys have done. We got a lot of comments going on. Sam, we got any comments? Any questions that you saw?
Not that don't have anything to do with a beard or reclassing.
A beard and reclassing. All right. Yeah, that's good. Well, I guess we covered the main spots. Beard and
definitely not here to talk about reclassing. I'd say that's somebody else.
Here's one for you, Sergeant Major or Master Sergeant. So someone wanted to know, as far as the hair colors, they wanted to know why were we so quick to approve conservative instead of progressive styles, and that if we were going to allow certain colors, why wasn't just all colors allowed?
Well, and Q, I'll let you get some of this too. I'm gonna just kind of speak on what I know from the actual panel, right? And I will tell you that this is one thing that we all have to understand. Just the same way I think Q probably, sorry I cut out, but I think Q had talked a little bit about, pearls not being in the ACU. So I'll talk a little bit about, when we talk about, being professional, there's a fine line, right? You gotta kind of walk the line of professional. We just can't let everything just go all out, because if we do, I'm telling you right now, it's going to go crazy. And then it's going to be something you can't contain. And if you can't contain, then that kills discipline in every other area. So everybody, you might think that it doesn't affect that, but it really does. And I will tell you that, hey, this might not be the end, right? This might be just the opening of other changes that will come here in the near future. But in the meantime, you can't just go full-fledged and open things up. You have to understand the fact that we got this far is saying a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to give it time. At some point in time, you never know. Y'all might be wearing earrings in a combat zone. But guess what? If you want to at least get this done right now, let's try to get this bit right now and let's see what happens. But we have to, as leaders, we always need to assess, right? We need to see how the force is doing with things. Let's see how this is working out. And, and maybe at some point in time, hey, y'all might be walking around with green hair. I just hope it ain't on my watch, Q, you got anything on that one?
I mean, one step at a time. We got to do one step at a time. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a profession, right? So we have to cut boundary at some point. I can't imagine someone walking around here with a mod haircut that's hot pink in uniform. And that's just me. Maybe I'm old school, but at the end of the day, we have to start somewhere. So we have to take those baby steps, and we have to, be appreciative where we've gone from back in the day when I came in 99 to now. So, right. I mean, one day at a time, one step at a time. Perhaps we'll get there, but like Sergeant Major said, hopefully not on my back. I can imagine seeing that. But yeah, one step at a time.
I'm all about one step at a time. Progress. It's a lot better than before. I mean, and the good thing is I don't have to go around the motor pool no more, seeing all them green buns sticking out. I ain't got to do it no more.
I saw a question in the comments, and it was talking about
that was not our fault.
Yeah, thank you, Sergeant Block. What about male hairstyles such as dreads for cultural backgrounds? Was that discussed or even looked at during the panel?
No, actually, it wasn't one of the topics at all brought up. I mean, that's something probably something we'll put in the toolkit for the next one, because it is a good question. I think that is a very great one, because I do see some religious accommodation packets that do come in that do ask for males to wear locks in conjunction with their religious background, religious faith. But it was not brought up. It was not one of the topics that was presented in the review panel. Negative.
And then we have a good one from Samantha McAllister. She states that how do you pronounce it? Alopecia? Alopecia affects those with long hair too, due to hair being pulled back in the bun. Why was this not considered? So maybe I think Sergeant McAllister is more talking about putting their hair in a ponytail. Why was that not looked at possibly, or is it just? I mean,
and once again, it was, alopecia, the dermatologist considered everything. But I mean, pretty much what I'm gathering from, and thanks, Samantha, for asking that question. But what I'm gathering from that is you pretty much want to, just say a long ponytail is for everybody. That's what the Air Force is doing right now. The Army may look at that again. I can't, once again, that I'm not going to say that's a hard no either, right? The review panel initially said no to long ponytails altogether. But then they looked at it and said, hey, you know what? Let's try to make provisions for physical training or wearing, combat helmets or whatever. But I don't think it's off the table. I think maybe, to look at alopecia and how do we get to low risk, that may be relooked at again here in the near future. So it was definitely considered, but, the review panel and the senior leaders, that's what, the recommendation they went with, and here we are.
I really appreciate that. Who's that? Al Mataton? How long does it take to approve a change in regulation as big as 670-1? Males are asking for beard. What can we do to bring that concern to a permanent team? Forget the second part of the question. Just answer that first part.
Roger. So, and Q, let me know if I'm off base here, but I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, it takes up to 9 to 12 months for a policy throughout the Pentagon to get done, and there's a reason for that, right? It's got to, senior leaders from major commands need to see it because it affects the soldiers within those formations. Army senior leaders and throughout the building, they need to see that. And as we all know, as time has moved on, I mean, we got, some ARs dating back to 1961 in our office, and they went from being this thin to now it's this thick if you ever print it out. And there's a reason for that, because once again, everybody has a need. Every unit has a need. We're changing. As we progress and we evolve, we have more needs now. I need 30 uniforms to say one thing, right? I need 30 different things to say, who I am as a soldier. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it is what it is. But with that being said, the bigger these regulations get, the more review time it takes, right? Because we do change equipment. We move things out. Things are obsolete. Things are brand new. We have to make sure we capture all of that. And the Army, hey, let's be real. The Army changes terminology all the time. Every few years we change it. The last time this regulation was updated was 2016, and it got published in May 2017. So, I mean, almost 300, 400 pages for PAM, and then, you know, maybe I can't remember how many pages for the AR, but that takes some significant time. And I'm telling you, it's not a big staff that does this. And if it was a bigger staff, it might make the process even longer because you got too many hands in the pot. So at the end of the day, 9 to 12 months to go through a legal review and staffing through Army leadership is what you want to try to get it as close to accurate as possible.
And I know personally that process is slow. Updated 601-280. You have to go through the review board. I know you guys have you probably use the same regulation writer that we used, and it's got to go through the reviews, and then it's got to go make sure that it's just right dress. It's a tedious process. But the fact that y'all were able to get this done so fast is very impressive. And implement
it wasn't fast. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of behind the scenes. Everybody thinks it was fast. It wasn't. It's been an uphill battle, you know. And if one thing changes, it could shift pages. I mean, it's not, I don't wish that pain on anybody. I'll tell you that right now.
We did get another question from Michelle White. Will there be clarification on when conducting PT for the long ponytail and the PFU? Seen so many interpretations on conducting PT.
Actually, we did. This is something me and Master Mitchell, we worked on in the ALARAC, even though it wasn't about the long ponytail in the APFU, but because of all the concerns, we was like, hey, we figured this is an opportunity to put in ALARAC and say, hey, you know what? When you're walking to your car to conduct PT, whether it be in ACUs or be in an APFU, you can wear your ponytail down. So you don't have to be in formation trying to figure out your doggone hair when your commander or your first sergeant says right face. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be conducting PT, the intent is to conduct PT as you're walking to the PT area in formation, your ponytail can be down. Now, if you're going to go to that formation knowing good and well you got going to sick call or you got an appointment or you're not doing PT, go and keep the hair on up so you can be in regulation whenever you go, wherever you're going. But if the intent is to do PT and you're coming to formation, yes, the ponytail can be down.
All right, real quick, Sergeant Major, if I could hop in, I wanted to let who is new, who is a little bit late tuning in, Sergeant Major Sanders and Master Sergeant Mitchell, they are from the Army G1, not the G3. And also, we are starting to see a lot of comments in here about AR 600-9. Although we really appreciate all your comments coming in, we're keeping this show strictly about 670-1 because we have the subject matter experts on the uniform here. So we will get to that one day, but let's keep it to what we have the experts here for tonight. Sergeant Major, back to you.
Roger. I think that's all I had to say on that. Q, did you have anything more on that one?
No, I was just going to say the same thing, ensuring that when walking to formation, you can have it. Back to your vehicle, you have it. But of course, if you're getting out of your vehicle to run to the shop at, get gas or something of that nature, if it's outside of PT, your hair needs to be put back up.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Torrance asked, will there be any consideration on PT uniform updates, as in different weather styles, breathable jackets, different styles such as windbreakers, anything of that nature? Was that discussed, or is that for a later update?
So that hasn't been brought up. Master Sergeant Mitchell, she brought up the program executive office, soldier office down in Fort Belvoir, who does all the prototypes for uniforms. And I haven't had, we're still digging our way out of emails ever since the 26th of January. I mean, we're still digging our way out. So I did get a concern from somebody. And I would tell you right now, that's our biggest concern right now, is to make sure everything that is inside of AR 670-1 currently is understood, and everything for this ALARAC is understood. So anything future, such as, looking at, the revamping of uniforms or whatever, I can take that concern and push it over to PEO and let them take a stab at it. But we don't get involved in the makeup of a uniform. We're all about telling you how to wear it and what to put on it, when you should wear it, and how to wear it. But I mean, it's a good question. I mean, it's something we can throw over at PEO because this is number 2 of somebody asking about, updates. Somebody I think asked, hey, is there a thought to maybe make a, APFU jacket with the hood on it? I'm like, I guess, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, we can ask the question, but once again, it doesn't fall in our lane. If it comes out, we goes to an Army Uniform Board, the Sergeant Major of the Army, the Chief of Staff of the Army, and members of the Army Uniform Board agree on it and say, hey, we want to implement this into the clothing bag. And then that's when, Master Sergeant Mitchell and I would get involved to make the policy to tell you, hey, this is coming this time, and this is how you will wear it and when you will wear it. That's our role we play in that.
All right, great. Thank you, Sergeant Major. Another one is, speaking of AR 670-1, the enlisted side is fully enforcing this regulation. However, the biggest violators are on the officer side of the house. Was the panel strictly for enlisted or officer as well?
It was everybody. I mean, as I mentioned, and Izzy, is that Izzy? Izzy, yes. A great question. The panel ranges from E5 all the way GL. I mean, we had majors, captains, CW5s, colonels, E9s, E7s, E6. We had it all. So it was geared towards all soldiers, right? And once again, as we talk about the education we're trying to push, this should not be an officer do this, enlisted do this. At the end of the day, a standard is a standard. And I think this is where I'll talk to not just NCOs, I'll talk to soldiers, period. If you know the right thing to do, do it. If it's wrong, don't do it. And if you see somebody doing wrong, check them. But you got the regulation there. If something's unclear, then that's something you need to really hit me and Master Sergeant Mitchell up to say, hey, I want to make the right correction, but maybe, the verbiage here is not clear. But if it's black and white and it's understandable, correct them. Officer enlisted, everybody has to adhere to AR 670-1. Nobody is immune to AR 670-1 if you're inside the United States Army.
No, absolutely. You are 100% correct, Sergeant Major.
And Matt, sorry, will the ALARAC be released on the same day the updated 670-1 is in effect?
So AR 670-1 was already published on the 26th of January. Effective date is tomorrow, or tomorrow. And then the ALARAC will be effective 26th February. So it has to come, it's an order. So it has to come last.
And you know what? I'm sorry, Q. That's a great one. And AJ, thanks for bringing it up. So this is something I forgot to mention. So everybody's probably wondering why these changes didn't. Why wasn't the ALARAC published before the AR? Right? Because the panel wrapped up in December. So let me use this opportunity real quick. Danielle, let me try to answer why it happened this way. So if the Army would have published the ALARAC in December and an AR 670-1 came out in January, the AR would have automatically superseded that ALARAC, which would have made it null and void, which means if I told you in December you could wear earrings, when the AR came out in January, those earrings would have been taken away because they didn't make it inside the AR. So we had to strategically make sure we held on to the ALARAC, put out AR 670-1 and give it its 30-day grace period, and it becomes effective, and it come right behind it with an ALARAC that will allow you to do all these different things that we've authorized through the ALARAC. So I hope that helps the force to understand why this came out the way it did.
It's cause and effect. It makes purpose. You can't have one without the other.
Roger that.
So here's a long one for you, and it looks longer than what it is. So the soldier wants to know, for the long ponytails, is it okay for them to have their ponytails down in a training situation, like during a lunch break or something like that? Because we know that we said when you're in a tactical environment, if you have your hair in like ACH and your ponytail could be tucked or whatnot, if they have that lunch break, can they take it off and their ponytail still be down? Or is it like the car where you need to put it back up when you're not actively doing it?
Hey, the way I look at it, and Q, let me know what you think too, but if you're training, right? If you're taking a lunch break, but you're going back to train afterwards, I would advise all leaders, all soldiers, hey, keep the hair down. There's no need to take it up and down, because then at that point, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? You're doing more damage. So my answer to that is no, use good judgment, for leaders. Hey, if you see your soldiers are taking a lunch break or a rest break from doing something, take the helmet off. It's okay. It's okay to have the hair down. If the intent is to put that helmet back on and get back to training or combat operation.
Right. You're not just walking through the PX with your ponytail down. Gotcha.
Exactly. But it's a good question, because I think, based on a lot of feedback Master Sergeant Mitchell and I have received, those kind of questions need to be answered, because I think sometimes some of us leaders, we don't know how to make good judgment on some of these things. And we have our soldiers kind of like confused even more and not really understanding about how to take responsibility. We should not have to, and that's why regulations are getting longer, right? Because if we have to spell out every single case on when you have to come on, now we're doing a job for you, leaders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. So thank you for asking that question. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I think another thing too, Sergeant Major, at least how I understood it, is when the AR got put out a month ago, this was the perfect time for you to start doing this training and understanding for February 26th. So a lot of these questions, they're great questions. And I'm sure once you're within your teams and your chain of commands, you guys can definitely get their intent on this as well.
Right.
All right. So we're getting kind of close. We gotta let Sergeant Major mess up.
I think that it's I'm sorry. No, I was just going to caveat to what Shantae was saying, that this is why we're doing things like this and being on these platforms so that the information can get put out there. So when the ALARAC does come down this week, everybody knows what their right and left limits are. We're not having anyone wearing big old pearls like this in their uniform. Uniforms like this. And again, thank you for the invite. It does give us a chance to speak to the masses and answer those questions personally, because we're people wearing the uniform just as well as everyone else, and we have to adhere to the same regulation as everyone else. So, again, thank you guys for this and allowing us the time to speak to it.
Thank you so much. I know you guys both have stuff to do in a few minutes, so we're gonna start wrapping up. But I want to ask two last questions to each of you. Right. First question is, what was your favorite part of doing these updates to 670-1?
Oh man. As far as the AR or the ALARAC?
Both.
So there was nothing fun about the AR. I'll tell you that right now. It was nothing. But the fun part about it was learning, right? It's a lot of stuff goes behind these uniforms. I think Q, you probably feel the same way. It's a lot of science that goes behind it, working with TIOH and PEO. And shout out to those teams, as well as dealing with legal and G4,
yes.
The G1 staff. Like it's a lot. Talking to Marlo White, AFES, it's a lot. It is a lot. So you learn a lot. So I think for me, that was a fun part. I don't want to take that thunder from Q though.
Sergeant Bishop, your turn.
For me, the fun part, I would have to say, was just anticipating the changes and how the force is going to take it, and being excited for those people that feel like finally, the big finally, I can finally do this. They're finally listening. So to me, the fun part about it all is the reaction. Of course, we have the naysayers. We always will. We can't please everyone. But I think the biggest reaction that both Sergeant Major and I got was the finally. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been the awesome part. Yeah, I mean, because somebody even said the other day, they were like, you know what, it takes forever for a lot of things to happen around the Pentagon, right? And I think here's where we showed that not everything. We and I think that kind of shows, me and Master Sergeant Mitchell's work ethic, right? Like we got in, the SMA gave us a mission, we got on it. Sergeant Major G1 Sergeant Major General Brito, hey, look, go forth and conquer, right? So here we are, and we're showing the Army right now, like things do get done. It's all about, just caring about people. And that's what this is all about. Chief of Staff of the Army, General McConville, he's about the people first strategy. And we are showing from the uniform perspective what that means. There's so many corridors of the people strategy, and worrying about appearance of a soldier is showing how we care as well too. So that was another fun thing too, to also see our stuff that we're doing align with the strategy that the big dog is putting out for the rest of the Army. So that was fun for me too, honestly.
No, I appreciate that. So we like to end the shows by giving shout outs to career counselors. I know both of y'all haven't re-enlisted in a very long time, right?
I'm done.
Yeah. I know y'all both been done for a while, right? But if you want to speak on a career counselor that you remember that stuck out to you, that you might want to give a shout out to.
Oh man, it's been so many of them. I think Sergeant Major Carla Hubble, when I was over in JSOC back in the day, she really took care of me. I did a retention NCO as additional duty while I was at JSOC many moons ago. So she really squared me away and really groomed me and showed me how to do that as an additional duty. It really empowered me. There's a few others I can't think of off the top of my head because you put me on the spot. If you'd have told me, I'd have thought about them. But definitely shout out to all the career counselors, retention NCOs. I think what you guys do is a thankless job. Like retention of NCOs or retention of soldiers, period. Not even just NCOs, enlisted officer, whatever. Retention of soldiers and keeping quality in our Army is a major movement. So big shout out to all the career counselors and retention NCOs.
Appreciate that. All right, Sergeant Mitchell, it's on you now.
Yeah, you did put us on the spot, but one that I can definitely give a shout out to, who is a personal friend of mine, is Sergeant Retired Shayla Sango. She was a phenomenal soldier as a whole. So yeah, I'll shout out her. Also the video folks, have many of those, friends with many of those. So definitely them, people, definitely.
Now, we really appreciate y'all coming on. And anytime y'all want to use this platform to put out a message, anytime you have any updates come on, you know you have an open opportunity. We love having you guys on, and we really appreciate that. And make sure when y'all have y'all Beard small group that you make sure you put me in it.
Got you. Yeah. We got more to come. Trust me. We got more to come. Believe it.
You're gonna need somebody that can't grow a beard and somebody that can grow a beard. So I'll be there right beside. Right beside
you can't grow a beard. You can't grow hair, let alone a beard. Hey, thank y'all so much. We started a little bit early tonight, guys, because Sergeant Major Sanders has a class going on later on. Education never stops, so keep doing school. And Sergeant Mitchell has a previous obligation as well. I'm just gonna go play PlayStation 5 in a minute and call it a night. But we really appreciate everything that y'all did. Thank y'all for the comments, lots of interactions, and let us know what kind of topics you want us to go forward with later on. We're trying to broaden our horizons. As you notice, we are Army Reenlistment, but all parts of soldiering, including appearance of uniform and appearance of grooming changes, that's part of keeping soldiers on the team, right? A lot of people sometimes will say, hey, I can't get my hair long, I don't want to stay in the Army. Sometimes I got to trick them into saying that they can do it one day. Now I ain't got to trick them no more, right? So on behalf of us, I really appreciate Sergeant Major, Sergeant Mitchell. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Team, do y'all want to throw any shout outs this week?
Thank you.
Well, not quite a shout out, but I just want to tell our audience that we have a huge schedule of different guests coming on. We've decided not to make this all about re-enlisting. So just stay tuned and keep joining us every week.
And I'd like to shout out all the future retention NCOs here at Fort Hood that I'm currently training. They're getting the best training possible from me. And Sergeant Jarena, that's who I'd like to shout out. Sergeant Jarena, who when he's not going to the gym, he's training the future career counselors of the United States Army.
Sam?
No particular shout outs tonight, but I know that there's going to be an upcoming class for July for retention NCOs to become career counselors. So all those who are going to that school, make sure you're getting prepared. April 2. So my retention NCO just got accepted to the April course, so she'll be going real soon. So good luck to all of them.
Roger that.
No, thank y'all. Thank you once again. Make sure that if you're not following us on Facebook and Twitter, make sure you're doing that, as well as IG. And also go like and subscribe to our YouTube page. If you haven't noticed, the live streams they disappear from our Facebook page after a couple of days because we're trying to put it on YouTube, so y'all get that. All right, so make sure y'all go do that. Sergeant Major Sanders, Master Sergeant Mitchell, thank you once again. We really appreciate it.
Roger that.
We really appreciate it. Hey, and just so y'all know, male soldiers out there listening, half of y'all can't grow a beard no way. Y'all get beady beads. So let's be for real. Let's not get all crazy like we can all grow a beard. Not everybody's that lucky. All right.
Oh, shots fired.
There.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you and good night.
All right, have a good one.
Good night.